Okay, all right, guys. So I don't think we've ever recorded. We've trained on foundation before, but I don't think we've ever recorded it for whatever reason. But if we have, here's another one. All right, so tonight we're going to talk about foundation facts. We're going to really kind of dissect all the different uh, benefits of each of the foundations, but we're mainly going to really talk about the 3D and how to build your inventory with that. So I'm gonna start, and then I'm gonna let Marianne share some things, and then I'm gonna then she's gonna turn it back over to me, and we're gonna talk about some charts that you can print out to always carry with you and things like that. So first of all, 91% of all women want help matching their foundation. Okay, good for us. 9 out of 10 women need help, and I think they said 75% of all women are wearing the wrong shade. And so that's where we come in, that we can always match. And Marianne's going to teach you, about matching. So the 3D foundation, that's the one we're going to start with tonight, is our newest foundation. And as a new consultant coming in, it's probably going to be the one that intimidates you the most. But I hope after tonight, you're going to feel very, you're going to feel more knowledgeable, to where you just have that confidence that you can match anybody, because this is super, super easy to match. So I'm going to kind of give you some history. Our previous foundation was called Time-Wise. And we had Time-Wise Matte and Time-Wise, we had full coverage before. We had full coverage and medium coverage. And that was a great foundation. It was buildable coverage. And then we ended up with another a formula, and now we have 3D. So what they did was they married the Time-Wise that had the buildable coverage that I loved, and they married it with the 3D component from our 3D anti-aging skincare line. They married those together, and in my opinion, they have created the best foundation on earth. So one of the main ingredients that makes it so incredible is silica. Silica is a very luminous, silky, smooth ingredient that really works well with the foundation. Some other things that this foundation, the 3D, will do: it has 12-hour control. If you're using the matte foundation, it has 12 hours of controlling your oil. If you're brand new, matte foundation is only for combo to oily skin, because it is going to dry you out. Okay, it's gonna control oil. It's for those who produce a lot of oil. If you are normal to dry, we have the luminous, and that is going to stay 12 hours of hydration for you, which is good because you want that dewy look. When you are dry skin like me, the last thing that you want is to look matte and dried up, because you look aged. It magnifies your lines. And so that's why it's important that you are very specific and very on point about matching your customer with the right foundation, not just the shade, but which formula that she needs. Now, there are some cases when you've got somebody who is truly combo, and that would be maybe they're oily here in the T-zone, but they dry out right in here. What do you do in that case? Well, in the past, we were taught you can mix your formulas a little. Give her a luminous, give her a matte, and just match it, and she's going to use it up, and it's going to last her longer because she's usually only using half of it. Okay, and so those are just some of the tricks that we've learned over the years. You also are going to know that your customers are going to have a summer color and a winter color, and when they're fading out going into the fall, they blend those two together to get that fall color. Then in the spring, when they're starting to get a little bit of color, like right now, they're going to blend their winter color and their summer color together again to get their right shade. And then peak summers here, they're going to use their summer. Winter comes, they're going to use their winter color. And so they've got 2 tubes that they're keeping in their cosmetic bag at all times, and that's going to last them longer too, because they're sharing the tubes in the different seasons of the year. And so that is something that when you tell someone that, they're like, oh, I never thought about that, but it totally makes sense. And so, you're going to just look like you know what you're doing. And that's what we always want to do. We always want to fake confidence. We never want to fake knowledge, but Mary Kay always says, fake it till you make it. All right, so let's talk about some more benefits of this 3D formula. So you've also got the 3D complex, and that's from, if you've studied we've talked over and over about the 3D miracle set. It's got the anti-aging, anti-aging, which is the encapsulated resveratrol, which is blocking those lifestyle stressors. So now you've got a foundation that is also blocking those free radicals. You've got a vitamin B3 in there that's going to help even out that skin, and you have a anti-aging peptide that's going to soften your expression lines so that you don't get so hard looking by the end of the day. This is also going to stay on for 12 hours, so it's long wearing, and it provides buildable coverage. Like I mentioned from that formula, the formula from the Time-Wise that I love so much, if you put it on in the morning, and let's say you've got a late night, which we're beauty consultants, right? We have long days. We get up early with our kids, we have our makeup, and then we might have a party that night. We have to touch up, right? You don't have to take everything off again. With this foundation, you just touch up and boom, you're ready to go again. That buildable coverage that doesn't look like you've caked it on. And that is such a huge, that was one of the things I missed the most when we lost that Time-Wise formula, was that buildable coverage, because you could just, you just looked so flawless. All right, so now those are some of the great benefits of the 3D. Now, let's talk about the matching. And then I'm going to let Marianne talk more about matching in just a second. So the 3-part matching, it's cool, neutral, and warm, okay? And each shade has a little bit of each of those in them, so that if you do get the wrong shade, it's not the end of the world like it has been in our other, or even other brands. You're like, oh my gosh, I got a warm, and I'm not a warm, I'm a cool, or I'm a neutral. And you could, before, if someone was, say, a pink undertone, because before it was pink, yellow, olive, and brown, okay? Orange and brown. Those were the undertones. If you accidentally gave a customer who was a pink undertone an olive undertone, she literally looked green like a Martian, okay? If you put, if you had somebody that was a yellow undertone and you put the pink undertone, she looked like a little pink pig. I mean, you literally could see where you went wrong. Well, now, because we're all from, which is so, it so makes sense, everybody is from the melting pot. Our nationalities are all mixed, and our skin tones are not so, black and white anymore. We're out in the sun more, we're more active, we exercise more, our kids are more involved, we're exposed. And so those, draw a line in the sand colors just, aren't working for us. And so this new formula has a little bit of each in them. So let's say in the summer, I'm out in the sun a lot and I have a little bit more coolness to me, then I'm going to go from my neutral. I'm just going to kind of go over to the right depth of the shade and maybe have a little bit more coolness to me. And I literally can match it from that, because I'm a neutral, but I've got a little bit more pink to me now, because that's what happens when I'm out in the sun. And I'm okay to kind of swing the other way. And that's what I love about this foundation, is that it's, you can be right, you can be wrong, but yet you can still be right. Some other things about this foundation, just so you know, when you are building your demo, and I'm going to talk about how to build your demos in just a second. The matte colors, which is what we demo with at your skincare classes, at your facials, and I'm going to tell you about that in just a second. The matte shade has to oxidize, which means dry, before you actually see the real color of it. I don't know why, The luminous doesn't do that, but the matte. So don't get freaked out when you first do the swatch. You could do a cool, you can do a neutral, and you can do a warm if you aren't to where you can actually look at someone and tell. I promise you, you will eventually get there. And let me make myself a note too, to tell you guys about a little game I play at my skincare classes that used to always take the pressure off me. But you let it dry a little bit, and that way you can see which one, once it oxidizes, which one blends the best. Marianne's going to talk more about that. But it's the matte has to oxidize. The luminous does not. And so that way you can tell if you've got the right shade. Now, when we build our demos, we are going to build our demos with only matte. Like if you look behind me and you see my foundation box of demos, that is all matte shades, because it's so, you don't want, it's so many, you don't want to have like this big trunk of foundation tubes. But if you have 14 of the most popular shades, we're going to talk about that the company says 80% of people are these shades. Get these shades and you'll be able to match anyone, anywhere, anytime, any place. And so, but it's all matte, because when you are at a skincare class, I'm dry, okay? If you sit down with me and you put all my good skincare on, and you put all my supplements, and you've hydrated me, I'm going to be okay leaving your home, or you leaving my home with matte, because it's not going to dry me out that quickly because I've been hydrated. What you're doing is you're just showing me the formula, how it feels, how it sits, the smoothness of it, and the color, and then you're gonna sell me the luminous, okay? Because that's what I need. But we match with the matte. Now, why don't we match with the luminous? Since I said it doesn't have to oxidize. Well, if I'm going to an oily person's house and she's oily, and I hydrate her with all my skincare, and I sit down and I put luminous on her, she's going to be dripping with oil immediately. She's extremely hydrated, and now I've just put a very hydrated luminous foundation on her. She's going to be shiny, and she's not going to buy anything. Got it? And so you are going to always demo with the matte foundation. When I am at a party, now you're in your starter kits, you have CC cream for a reason. CC creams are only, 5 shades. There's very light, light to medium, medium to deep, deep, and very deep. And that's a tinted moisturizer. Very lightweight. We're going to talk more about that in a second. But when you're at a big party, you can just pretty much know that most white women are light to medium, unless they're just lily white sitting there, and then very light. And most black women are deep, unless they're just that really ebony, deep ebony, then they're very deep. It's super easy to match this, and that's why it came in your starter kit, so that you would not ever be intimidated. Because when you're with a lot of people, you cannot go through all these different cools, warms, neutrals. You have to really book that one-on-one so that you can spend time with that person, matching her if she wants the more fuller coverage foundation, which is our 3D line. Okay. So I play a raffle ticket game when I am at a big party, before we have the CC creams. And I would say, if I get your foundation wrong, you get 5 raffle tickets, okay? And that took the pressure off me as a brand new consultant. And I felt very secure with getting it wrong, because they wanted me to get them wrong, and they would laugh about it versus going, oh, she doesn't know what she's doing. I never wanted to have those roll of the eyes. I wanted people to say, oh, she got me wrong, and then I'd run over and I'd get them right. And that literally helped me. When we had the time-wise, I literally could look at somebody and match them. In fact, last year when I was remodeling my house, my basement, I went back to this carpet store that I had used in 2007 when we got new carpet for upstairs. And the same lady was working in there. And she never called me back, by the way, to give me a quote. So she lost a lot of business. That don't ever do business like that. I walked in and she said, "Oh my gosh, are you still doing that little Mary Kay thing?" And of course, that really ticked me off. I want to say, "Are you still working for the carpet company?" And she goes, "Yeah, I love that foundation. I don't remember what color it was." I said, "You were a 204. She's like, "Oh my God, you got a good memory." I said, "No, I just know how to look at somebody and match them." And she never called me back to get my business. Like, whatever. That's why she's still at the carpet company. Anyway, so that's how I got really good at looking at somebody and matching them with that old time-wise formula, because of that game that I played. And I knew what the popular shades were. So the fact that Mary Kay has come out and said, "Hey, here are the 14 most popular shades of Time-Wise 3D foundation," run with that. Okay, we're going to talk about some other tools that they've given us that are spot on, that's helped me. All right, so Marianne, some other things before I turn it over to Marianne, that she's going to turn it back. We're going to talk about building your inventory. One thing that I've learned, and Marianne may touch on this, is that the company she's going to tell you how the company tells you to know if it's cool, warm, or medium. Cool, warm, or cool, neutral, or warm. Is another way is if someone looks good with silver and blue eyeshadow, they're cool. If someone looks good with golds and earth tones, they're warm eyeshadows. If somebody can wear any color eyeshadow, they're neutral. Okay, and they can swing both ways, all three ways. So that's another little trick that I've learned that I'm like, oh, that totally makes sense. So there's lots of little ways to learn how to master the matching. Marianne, do you want to talk quickly about matching of this foundation?
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so I absolutely love these foundations. They really do. I've used everything from full coverage to sheer. I'm happy with it all. It just depends on, it's like picking out outfits. Like, what kind of foundation do I want to wear today? What combination of foundations do I want to wear today? And I remember the first time that I got to put on that new 3D. I mean, it's like flawless in a tube. It's like next level flawless. And I've even gone from wearing the matte to the luminous, and I get rave reviews all the time. So talking about matching, Michelle just mentioned there's the quick and easy way, which is asking someone what kind of jewelry that they wear to help you pick the undertone in a quick way. And that's what I ask. That's the easiest thing. If another question, if they're not sure, is just if they, I'm sorry, I had a brain fart. We'll come back to that one. Keep my brain. Okay. So what I do remember, and I can tell you, is that when you are matching it, you want to use this section of the face. Okay. And you're going to pick a shade, and you're just going to do just to get a teeny bit on there. You don't need a lot. And you're just going to do a stripe. And I would use, based on that color, you want to do one that's lighter and then one that's darker. So then you can decide, okay, are you in the right undertone? And if none of them look great, like it just doesn't even look like her skin, then you probably need to switch undertones. If you feel like you're in the right ballpark, but you're just not quite there for the shade, then obviously you can go darker or lighter. One thing that's really great is these charts that we have. And it can show, it basically has the undertones there's a couple of different ones that are out there. We'll give you those later, but it basically shows the undertone by the depth of color. So for example, I love wearing any color metal, silver, gold, and I like to wear them all mixed together. Like I got silver and gold right now. So I am I'm a true neutral undertone. And so once, right now, I believe I've got on the 190. That's the neutral is my undertone. That doesn't change. And then the 190 is my depth. And so during the summer, I do tan pretty well. So it's going to the number's going to be bigger. So like 200 and 210 210 is the darkest in that one. So the numbers don't always go in like numerical order. So just know that, so you don't get tripped up on that. You kind of just have to look at the chart. And I remember with the old time wise, we have a lot of foundations, and my overachiever self tried to memorize. And there's no pattern, so there's no like logical way you can figure it out. Like you literally have to memorize it. And then when I realized there was the sheet, I was just like, screw this, I'm just looking at the sheet. So I would keep this with me. And, if I could pin, okay, they're this number, but, maybe they need to go darker, then I just look at the paper. It's okay to look at the paper, y'all. Use the paper. So I love that thing. But yeah, so just take a stripe. It's the stripe test, and you just use a little bit. And, sometimes I've had to use 2 different cheeks, because if you're at one undertone over here, then you got to switch the undertone over there. It's okay. Or just, wipe it off, start over. The most I've ever had to match anybody was 5 times. And so, but I think she was also just a very picky and insecure person.
Mm-hmm. Those are the hardest.
They looked great. But I told her, thank you. I was like, you're, really helping me to, figure this out and everything. So, it's just really simple. You just got to try it. And just like Michelle said, eventually you'll be able to look at someone across the street. I still remember, somebody in particular comes to mind. I know her foundation color from 5 years ago. So it's really fun. And, when people use these, they, the stats say 90% say, I found the most perfect match. When you get customer loyalty on this foundation, they are not going anywhere else. It is pick a foundation. So once they find one that they love, they're staying with you forever. Don't ever leave. They will stay with you forever.
Yes. All right. So thank you, Marianne. So one thing that we want to really bring home is that the undertone never ever changes. The depthness of it will. So once, like I'm a neutral, I am neutral in the winter. I'm neutral ivory 140. I've already got out my summer color, which is a beige neutral 150. So that's what the N stands for in front of that number, or the C is for cool and the W is for warm. So one thing that I want to talk about now is, so cream to powder. Let's talk about a few of our other shades really quickly. So we talked a little bit about CC cream. We do have a cream to powder. It comes in like a little cake pod, and you put it on. It goes on creamy. It dries to a powdery finish. It is, oh, I just read that. Yes, that's the most popular shade, by the way, Ivory Neutral 140. So the cream to powder is one of our oldest foundations. But I want to give you a warning, because you're going to find a lot of women, when you will inherit customers, and they'll say, oh, I'll wear that cream foundation in the little cake pod. Make sure, because it's usually older women, and most older women are dry. And what they're talking about is the cream foundation for dry skin, not the cream to powder. Cream to powder is for dry, oily skin, because it goes on creamy. It dries to a powdery finish. It will suck the life out of you. And those people think that that's what they had, but the old cream for dry skin went on creamy, stayed on creamy. Now, when I show you how to go look for these charts, I found something I was shocked to find today. They actually have a conversion for cream foundation to cream to powder. I am really going to have to email the company, because that should not be there. That is very confusing, because it wasn't a comparison. It is not a conversion. These are 2 different formulas, and a dry skin person doesn't need, how I feel about drying out a dry person. Everything magnifies their lines and crevices. And so I'm going to have to say, you need to take that down, and you cannot recommend that. It is not what they're looking for. They are looking for that old cream foundation. And guys, Mary Kay used to say, we will never get rid of that formula, because people will hunt us down and kill us. Well, they had to. They had to get rid of it, because it is so old, they couldn't get the ingredients anymore to make it. And so it is gone. And it had names like buffed ivory, fawn beige. So if you recognize that, You got to know that's what they're looking for. Our Endless Performance Cream to Powder Foundation has numbers, okay? And there's actually a conversion chart that you can actually use your 3D foundation to match. And if she wants that and she's oily, you can use the conversion chart to figure out which cream to foundation she needs. I do not recommend that you go and order every one and stock it. You stock it as you inherit these customers. And they order one, you order two. They order two, you order four. I'm just going to tell you, most of these cream to powder customers, they order 2 at a time because they really go through it. They touch up all during the day. Like most oily people touch up, they're obsessed with it. And so they always order 2 at a time, sometimes 4 at a time. So like my most popular cream to powder foundation shade that I have to stock is Ivory 4. And I have a customer that orders 4 at a time, and I have one that orders 2 at a time, another one that orders 3 at a time. So you can imagine how many, I just sold 2 today. You can imagine how many cream to powder foundations I have to stock. But you inherit them and then you stock it. So do I have every shade? Absolutely not. So that is another one of our foundations. Cream to powder is also a great contouring agent. It's a creamy contouring agent. So you use a lighter color here and then a darker color right in here. And it's a great way if you are, you want to really have that luminous look. It's a great contouring. And so lots of different things to use that cream to powder for. All right, so we've already talked about CC cream. You guys know that. Let's talk about how to build, how to build this stock. And so what I do is I first started with my demo. And I'm gonna send this to you. This is a chart that Mary Kay sent us, and it's got all the shades of matte, and it's got a heart by the most popular that 80% of all women use. And I'm going to box that to you today so that you're going to have that. And you can go through, do your order, and order one of each of those for matte. Order 2 for matte, because one's going to be your demo. Have one in your shelf. And then order another for luminous, okay? Now, that way, every time you get a customer, you match them, you've got it ready for them. I'm going to tell you what is so sweet about this system that I'm teaching you is now, as I'm still converting everybody over from the old to the new, they text me, they want their old foundation. I then go to another conversion chart that I'm going to tell you where to find. I go to another conversion chart, I look over, and it tells me which one. I go to my stock, and voila, it's there. And I'm like, thank God. Mary Kay was so smart. That is a wonderful feeling to know that you've got your good customers' new foundation shade. I have only had to return one. I have only had to do a return on one shade. And it's because actually she did 2 shades. It's a customer kind of similar to what Mary Ann's talking about, someone who's highly insecure about her looks. She literally comes over every month, and I check out her foundation. And yeah, and so finally got her right, praise God. But everybody else has been spot on from this conversion chart. So that's how I build. So then what I did, so I went, if you are a seasoned consultant and you have customers using the old, go through all your customer profiles, and you write out all of their shades, or go through your sales tickets for the last year, okay? What you got to do, whatever you got to do. Write out all the shades. And then I went through my order form. I went through the conversion chart, and I wrote down all the ones that I needed. And then I put it on my order form, and then I placed my order, and I have them. And so, like I said, once again, they start calling, and I've got it. I love that I don't have to worry about it. And so that's how I built. And so now when they order 1, I order 2, okay? And so now I have this wonderful supply. They order 1, I order 2. And that's how I built my inventory. So let me go through my notes real quick here. I also keep a new clipboard on my in my inventory section by my, it's just a little inventory thing, clipboard, by my foundations. And when I sell it, when I pull one off, I write it down so that that's my next order is what I've sold that month to restock. So that, because hey, let's just be real, my memory is not what it used to be. I used to be able to remember, and now I have to write everything down. And so that clipboard or a little post-it sticky works too. And I just write it down when I've sold it, and I know it's in my inventory. I'm going to go pull it, and that's in my next order. So that's how I always have my, because hey, let's be real. You cannot force your customer to wait on foundation. They will not. They will not. They will go and get something at Walmart or wherever, and that's not right. And so, be very strategic in building your inventory stock for your, for your foundations and with everything really that they just can't live without. So where do you find these wonderful charts? So I would recommend that you print these out, put them in a sheet protector, and keep them in your binders, your notebook, everywhere, whatever, by your computer, in your office, everywhere. So you go to products, it's on InTouch, it's got business tools, and right next to it says products. Go to products, and it's going to have a drop down. You're going to go to Product Central. And then when you go to Product Central, there's going to be a comparison shade charts. Go to there, and you're going to see every conversion chart ever needed. And then find the foundation one, print that out. It's even going to tell you what powders, what concealers to go with these, everything. And then you can also go to Foundation for All. If you want to learn more about these foundations and the percentages and the case study, all of that, under Foundation for All, you can find all of that. And then voila, you are a master at this foundation. And and you've got all these wonderful little charts that you can carry with you at all times. So I just want to see if anybody has any questions. Let's see. Let's stop the recording. Hang on. Stop the recording.